So it's that weird week after Christmas, and frankly I don't really know what to talk about. We're in the middle of the KES period and it feels wrong to talk about what's been going on because we're still in it, but at the same time it started, so giving a long-winded description of Baal or Hulst feels strange too. So what do you do when you have zero inspiration and are a little bit strapped for time? You make top 10 lists in dreadful meaningless award categories. So let's go. So let's start with a fairly easy one. The best kit we've seen raced in at any point in 2021. There's been a bunch, even some that didn't quite make the nomination, but in the end, as you can see, I quite enjoy my unique kits. I think it's because they bring a sense of uniqueness and personality to the races. Cyclocross isn't a team sport in the same degree that road cycling is, and everyone having their own kits adds to that. The finest kit in the bunch for me is undoubtedly one that's no longer visible, which is a bit of a shame. It's Magali Rochette's Pan American Champion kit. There's something about this thing that just works. It's a shame we no longer get to see it worn, with new champions Eric Brunner and Raylan Nuss seemingly choosing not to show it off. But whilst on Rochette's shoulders it looked magic, the almost Mondrian-esque bastardisation of the rainbow bands creates this weird new take on the jersey that if anything elevates it. And to me the Pan Am stripes perfectly encapsulate cross in the Americas, this slightly strange different take on the sport. Americans seem to like colouring outside the lines of what traditional cross would be, and the kit does the same, and generally Magali Rochette does too. And so we get our first proper rider category, the competition for Junior of the Year. I'm doing this one cross genders, but the rest will be split between men and women, and I think we all know who's going to win this award. Zoe Bäckstedt is so much better than everyone else at this level that we may as well call this the Zoe Bäckstedt Award. She's throughout this year consistently blown away any competition she's faced, winning all 5 junior races she's entered. She also raced elite races, winning 2 Swedish crosses, finishing second at the Berenkoers and becoming the youngest rider to win an elite cross on Belgian soil at the Robotland Cross in Essen. Bäckstedt is pretty much unrivaled at her level and is almost good enough to ride with the elites at 17. When making these videos I borrow a lot of information from a lot of varying places, so I thought it was probably fair enough to give them a bit of love as well. With so many competitions, races and riders, sometimes it can be hard to keep an eye on what's going on, but thankfully nowadays there's a brilliant online community of people keeping track of everything, making the sport easier to follow and more accessible. To me, nowhere has quite done that as well as Cyclocross 24. The website, and I genuinely don't know who runs it, please let me know, is the most in-depth packet of historical information available online, with all the information for all the races going back decades. Even for the races coming up, Cyclocross 24 has all the information, including start lists, standings, layouts and course pre-rides. This award was incredibly close, and I feel like I'm doing the Cyclocross social somewhat harshly. Noah is a paragon of knowledge on this sport and gets regular inside scoops that nobody else could even imagine getting. The same goes for Bill Schicken across the pond, of course, another absolute legend. The under-20 men's field is incredibly wide, with some 10 riders that all feel like they're almost at the same level. However, I feel these 5 stand just above the rest as the leading under-23 riders. Ryan Kamp is the European champion, Mace Hendricks leads the World Cup, Cameron Mason has come back from an arm break in April to now win the Dendermonde World Cup. Niels van der Putten is an outlier as he almost is an elite rider. The only under-23 stuff he still rides is the championships. But I don't think anyone has been quite on the level of Pim Ronhaar. Ronhaar started 2021 by becoming world champion at the under-23 level. He then followed on this season with consistent top 10s. He sits second in the under-23 World Cup and leads the X2AO under-23 classification. Pim Ronhaar also took a maiden elite World Cup podium in Besançon, making him one of the youngest men to stand on a World Cup podium. For those reasons, I think it's almost impossible to look past the Dutchman for this one. 2021 has seen quite a few dominant rides, interestingly, from a fairly large group of riders. Now, it's hard to find out what the definitive dominant ride is. By the time a rider is so far ahead, the gas gets let go a little bit usually. But these 5 rides are displays of supreme ease. Mathieu van der Poel has a catalogue of dominant rides, but we've barely seen him race in 2021 due to varying injuries. However, one of the most dominant rides he produced was early in the year in Hulst, where he crushed his competition, including Wout van Aert, with relative ease. Though everything Mathieu can do, Wout can do too. As recently as this week, Van Aert put in a dominant ride in Zolder, winning almost effortlessly, from the lights to the flag. On the women's side, Lucinda Brandt is the dominant rider, but she doesn't always do a Van der Poel style destruction of the rest. Max Plas was the exception, however. A mistake set her free halfway through lap 1, and the rest never saw her back. We must also mention Zoe Backstedt. When Backstedt lines up in Essen, some people predicted that she'd do quite well, but I don't think anyone expected her to drop everyone on lap 1 and then finish a minute clear of the rest. But no one, nowhere, dominated quite like Clara Honsinger did at the US Nationals. She turned up in an illegal kit, dropped everyone instantly, put 3 minutes into the rest, and refused to elaborate further, went back to Europe, still wearing the stars and stripes. Honsinger didn't even look like she was really trying. It was an absolute cakewalk. There's only one winner in this category. This award feels somewhat redundant looking at the calibre of these 5. Only Burquet even feels like an actual under-23 rider, and even then Burquet has ridden 4 World Cups this year, finished 3 with top 10s and had a 12th place in Namur. That 12th place is the only time Burquet has missed out on the top 10 all season. The others are all basically fully fledged elite riders too. Vaas and Van Empel have both won a World Cup. Van Anrooy is the under-23 European champion and currently sits 4th in the World Cup standings. But my vote goes to Puk Pieterse, who has consistently been at the level to compete for podiums throughout the season, taking 3 of them so far. She's already an elite level rider, it's just that she's still a teenager as well. Just like there is every year, this year saw some pretty surprising victories. You can see here some nominations, but none shocked me quite as much as Fem Van Empel's magic ride in the snow of Val d'Isole. She looked in total control throughout the whole race, mastering the difficult conditions, and even when she got caught and it looked like the fun would be spoiled, she held her nerve throughout the chaos of those final few hundred metres to take a very well deserved career first World Cup win. 2021 saw a number of breakthrough rides, riders pushing themselves to new heights and achieving things that they might not have believed they even could have done. And I'm going to give this one to a slightly surprising nomination. My breakthrough of the year is Magali Rochette. And yeah, I know that's a bit weird. It's strange to give a breakthrough award to a 28-year-old former World Cup winner, but hear me out. Rochette has admitted to struggling to perform on European soil in the past. Every year it seemed to be the similar story where it just wouldn't quite work the way it would back home. However, following the cancellation of the Canadian Nationals, Rochette made her way over to Europe earlier than planned, appearing first in Besançon. Here she put on a career-defining performance, riding to an incredible second place behind Lucinda Brandt, proving to both the public and more importantly to herself that she truly can do it at the absolute highest level. Now this is a tough one to decide. All the riders on this list have a good reason to be crowned as the best rider from outside of Cross's traditional homeland. But I've gone for Clara Honsinger. Clara came into 2021 off the back of an exceptional December, during which the European public really got fully introduced to the American champion. The end of 2020-2021 season was a success as well, with 5 top 10s in as many races, including a 4th place at the World Cup over Ice, a 4th place in the World Cup overall, and a 4th place finish at the World Championships, being the best non-Dutch rider at every occasion. The joy didn't stop there for Honsinger, however. She swept the floor with her compatriots in local American races before landing 2 more World Cup podiums and a landmark victory at the Koppenberg. Clara Honsinger is my non-Benelux rider of the year. Now, especially in the later half of 2021, we've been treated to some incredible racing, a number of very close battles on some inspired racetracks. But to me, the race of the season has to be the men's race at Tabor this year. Tabor is World Cup heritage, and it produced a classic in 2021, with up to 8 riders battling it out for the win at certain points. In the end, the race came down to a thrilling conclusion, with Lars van der Haar breaking Quinten Hermans and Elie Iserbyt on the final lap to take his first World Cup win in years. A well-deserved winner after an extraordinary race. Special shout out to Zonhoven and Val d'Isole, which were both incredible too, but nothing quite topped the Tabor race for me. And now we've had all the little ones, now it's time for the big 2 awards. First one up, Woman of the Year. And is this one really a competition? Whilst the other 4 certainly deserve a nomination, Lucinda Brandt has been absolutely dominant at every major fixture in the 2021 season. She swept up all 3 major competitions, also becoming world champion. So far this year she leads the World Cup with 5 wins along the way. She also leads the Super Prestige and sits second in the X2O Trophy. Oh, she also became European champion. Brandt has been near flawless throughout 2021 and is undoubtedly the best female cyclocross racer in the world, and probably the best one outright. Whilst the Woman of the Year decision was fairly easy, naming a Man of the Year has proven to be a huge challenge. Whilst Mathieu van der Poel is obviously the best out-and-out cyclocross racer, he barely raced in 2021. He defended his world title, of course, and took 4 wins out of 5 races before that. But this season he has 2 races, a second place in Den Le Monde and a DNF in Zolder. Injuries have meant he's barely raced so far, and I don't think I can really award him. So then you've got to ask yourself, who's next? Wout is clearly the next best, but again he's not raced a lot, though more than Van der Poel, and where he's raced he has been completely dominant. Elie Iserbyt has shone when the competition was weaker, but seems to cave under the pressure of no longer being the top dog, whilst Toon Aerts does the opposite. When the big 2 twist the thumbscrews, Aerts often rises the closest to him, showing the most resistance. I really can't decide, so I think I'll give it to Wout van Aert on the basis of him being the best in a straight up race, and the fact that he's ridden a decent amount of crosses this year. So there you have it, that's my award ceremony awarding all kinds of random things over the course of the past calendar year. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you agree with at least some of it, though you probably won't. Please do tell me what you make of it in the comments below, or wherever else if you want to. All that's left for me to say is have a good time, have a good weekend, and have a great 2022. Let's hope it's slightly better than the last years have been.